Hey YouTube, this is Han here, and this is just sort of a spin-off video to my two-parter responding to the honey badgers with regard to the rape shield statute. Uh, because in the first of those videos, I talked about the use of a felony conviction to impeach the credibility of a witness. Now, as a practical matter, I'm not sure it works all that well. I think it depends on um, on what the conviction is for, right? So if a witness, let's say you have a victim, right, of a burglary. So this guy's house is burglarized, and then he talks to the police, right? And for some idiotic reason, the defense wants to show that 25 years ago, this guy has a felony menacing conviction somewhere, right? It's like, and to show that what he's lying, that his house got burglarized. I mean, it's stupid, right? Because I can see no jury thinking that has anything to do with anything, right? And it works the other way around too. You know, if a defendant is accused of, say, assault, right? Let's say this guy's on trial for assault with a deadly weapon, and 10 years ago he has a conviction for drug possession. And I don't think the jury is going to really take that into consideration all that much in evaluating this guy's self-defense. I mean, they might, right? But that raises the question of what is the logical connection, because it's all felonies regardless of type. So it's not felonies that just have to do with truthfulness, right? Certainly, if your felony is for forgery, or for something having to do with honesty or dishonesty, I could see that, right? I could see a jury saying, it's like, this guy is the kind of guy who lies, right? Like and so I'm not sure I believe what he's saying now, right? But if the prior is for drug possession, I'm not sure what that has to do with honesty necessarily, right? So here's what I think it actually goes to, and then I have to wonder if it actually matters nowadays, right? Prior to taking the stand, everybody has to swear an oath to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, right? And this is how our system kind of works, because if you don't tell the truth on the stand, and you can say whatever on the stand, then okay, right? We can't believe anything. So what a felony conviction is supposed, I think, does is it's supposed to say this witness has shown his contempt for the system such that he's willing to do a felony, right? This is not like speeding, like normal people speed without having contempt for the system, right? Like misdemeanors. So this is why it's just felonies. Felonies are really serious. And so I think that what the felony conviction says is that this person in the past has shown so little respect for the system that he's willing to commit a felony. Therefore, what is that oath worth? And if that oath isn't worth anything, what is that testimony worth? I think that that's what this rule is actually about, because otherwise I don't think it makes sense. But, we have it. And so I guess another question with regard to this is, does it prejudice jurors? And again, I don't think it does, right? The defense bar, I don't know. I've a lot of times defense attorneys try to keep their clients off the stand, especially with a past criminal conviction. And I'm not sure it's a good idea. Now, I'm the prosecution, but I think that jurors want to hear the defendant's story. I mean, you have a right to you have a constitutional right to remain silent, which means you can't be compelled to take the stand, and the jury can't hold that against you. And I think jurors take that very seriously and try not to hold it against them. However, when the juror only has the story from the prosecution, right, and there are gaps in the story that the defendant, only the defendant could fill, but the defendant refuses to fill, and everything else shows no honest explanation, the jurors are left with, there's no honest explanation, right? And I think jurors want some explanation rather than none. And I think that jurors are reluctant to convict. I don't think that jurors like to convict people. And I think that jurors want an excuse to acquit. And I think that taking the stand is what is helpful for the defendant. Now, I mean, there are exceptions, of course. I mean, if your client is just such a bad liar, or your client is just comes off as just such a dislikable person, and this, maybe that's why you want to keep the client off the stand. But if it's simply felony conviction, I'm not sure that it matters that much. Now, it depends on what it is, right? If, for example, your client is on the stand for drug possession, and your defense is, I didn't know, I borrowed somebody's coat, I didn't know it was there, right? Is no knowledge of the possession. And your client's prior conviction is for drug possession. Okay, now you have a problem. Maybe you don't want to take the stand, right? Because even though the purpose of the rule is only to show credibility, I'm not sure how the jury is going to. I'm not sure how the jury is going to not use that for character. I mean, there's just no way, right? I think that sex offenses are also one where you might want to be really careful. If the prior conviction is or maybe not sex, just anything that's sort of related to the current charge, right? If the prior is something similar, that might be a reason. But if it's completely unrelated, then I'm not sure why why you should be afraid of it. If the guy is on trial for assault and the prior is drugs, I don't think it hurts. If the current is a crime of honesty and the prior is a crime of violence, I'm not sure. I'm not sure it actually hurts. I think that the jurors would rather hear from the client so that they have something to hang their hats on to acquit, rather than just be left with the gap. Now, again, you have to evaluate your client, right? I mean, if your client's just a bad liar, so that his lies on the stand are just going to be going to be so transparent that the prosecutor's going to cut him up, that's a different consideration apart from the prior conviction. Anyway, so that's just a quick ramble about the weirdness of this rule, where a prior felony conviction can be brought in for whatever reason, and what's the theory behind this? Because I'm not sure it's logically sound that all felons are liars, right? But you can bring in all felonies, and I think it has to do with oath taking, and I'm not sure what these oaths mean anymore. The belief in say God holding us accountable for that sort of thing. I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure how much as a society we actually believe that anymore. And so I don't know if that oath, if anybody takes that oath more seriously, like, well, I was going to lie before, but now that I swore that I wasn't going to lie, now I'm not. I just are there people like that? You know what I mean? That oath makes the difference between telling the truth and not. I don't know. I think that you're either going to tell the truth because you're that kind of person, or you're not. So regardless, there's the rule, and it's a weird rule, but it's the law. Thanks for watching.